Good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket is about a comment that was made by one of Africa's biggest Afrobeat superstars, Davido, whilst a guest on the Big Homie House podcast, where he talked about the state of affairs of Nigeria's economy, as well as Africa's economy in general. And it was out of this interview that Davido did that also raised a lot of eyebrows and uproar and criticism from Nigerians in Nigeria, as well as some in the diaspora and Africans all over the globe. But fellows, before I dive into this subject today, let's go ahead and hear exactly what Davido said about the state of affairs of Nigeria's economy and Africa in general. And I'll come back and dissect this whole stuff today. So let's go ahead and hear what actually he said. Let's go ahead and hear Davido. You know, it's unfortunate that he has to face all this criticism, but let's go ahead and hear. And some of it has some positive stuff to it too.
Want to leave America and like try to find those.
Leave America and go where?
Back home.
Let's be honest. Go back where? It's not cool back home.
It's not.
My country now is in the economy now is in shambles. Like,
but if people are leaving,
I do my part.
Yeah,
I'm an ambassador. So when I go home and I'm filming and showing, I'm not gonna show the bad parts. I ain't gonna show all the.
You're not gonna try to slum. You're not gonna show the trenches.
No, I go to the trenches.
Yeah.
I film the trenches, but I'm talking about the situation in the country.
Yeah.
Being Nigerians, you know what I'm saying? Like now the exchange rate is messed up. A lot of stuff not going well. You know what I'm saying? The economy is just not good anymore. Yeah. The oil prices are too high. And imagine a country that produces oil. We produce the oil, and we pay more money for oil than a country that's importing the oil. You know what I'm saying? So there's stuff like that. But regardless, entertainment is one of the things that's made Africa look good.
Yeah.
We do not have the best leaders. That's a fact.
All right, fellas. So you just heard Davido talk about the state of Nigeria's economy. And now let's hear what Tinubu also had to say about it. And then I'll come back and dissect it.
I am from Nigeria. It's better to give you the true picture of what's going on in Africa. We have terrorism challenges, insecurity challenges that's preventing farmers to even go to their farm. We have problems in Sudan, displacing people. We have problem of climate change, flooding, destroying crops. And we have problem of protectionism. We have problems. It is very important to make it clear and louder here. We have problem of out of school children. We have problem of funding free education or giving our children 1 meal a day in a classroom to even make them pay attention to school.
All right, fellas. So you just heard exactly what Davido said when he was asked about the question of if it was good or the right time for African Americans to go to Nigeria or to go to Africa. And it was out of that response, I mean, the genuine, truthful response from Davido, which are factually true, that have also generated all this uproar and anger and criticism from some Nigerian politicians, as well as some Nigerians, both in the media, as well as ordinary citizens, either in Nigeria or in the diaspora. But if you take into consideration what Davido said and what Tinubu said in that video, there's nothing different between what Davido said and Tinubu said. Davido was speaking as an ordinary citizen, and Tinubu was speaking as the official president of a country, where he was talking about the state of affairs of the economy, where he himself acknowledged the problems of insecurity as well as the economic issues that Nigeria is facing. So if Davido should go on a podcast and asked about the state of affairs of Nigeria, and he says that Nigeria's economy is in shambles, then how dare do people have to criticize Davido for telling the truth about the state of affairs in Nigeria? It's very unfortunate because some of these people in the media, Nigeria's news media, have also jumped on this criticism, therefore calling him unpatriotic, for him to go outside of the country, coming to the United States of America to criticize Nigeria and Nigeria's economy. That is very, very unfortunate, especially if you people are going to be angry at Davido for his comments. Then you have to be angry at the government of Nigeria. You have to be more angry at the government of Nigeria than anybody else. At the end of the day, Davido is an ordinary citizen expressing or giving up his opinion about the state of affairs of the country. Now, factually, everything that Davido said is true. Most Nigerians in Nigeria today are feeling the pain of high inflation, are feeling the pain of gas, are feeling the pain of the economy and all and so on and so on and so forth. So there's nothing that Davido said that he's wrong about it. But if you guys, those who are criticizing Davido with this harsh criticism to the extent that some people are even calling for people to cancel him out and so on and so forth, with all that energy that you are directing towards Davido, why don't you direct that energy toward the government of Nigeria? Because at the end of the day, for Davido to make these comments, he has to make this comment based on the state of affairs, the economic affairs of Nigeria today. And the economic affairs of Nigeria today is where it is today because of bad governance, high level of corruption, lack of security, lack of infrastructure, poor social amenities, and so on and so forth. So if you're angry for a fellow citizen coming out on a podcast telling the world about the state of affairs of the economy of Nigeria and Africa as a whole, then you have to be angry at your government. Because at the end of the day, it is your government that have created this situation. It is not Davido who created this level of poverty in your country. It is not Davido who has created bad infrastructure. It is not Davido who has also created the economic situation where people cannot find jobs, where even your president, Tinubu has to acknowledge the security situation going on in Nigeria, as well as the fact that even they cannot have food to feed school kids in schools in Nigeria. All these things are happening in Nigeria not because of Davido. And let's be clear about this. Yes, Davido might have said some things, based on the context of what he said. I don't see what else Davido has to say. He's making it clear to Nigerians and people in the diaspora. You're going back to Nigeria to do what? And that is the question man is asking you. Yes, there are some people who might have political connections, who will go back there, and because of the corrupt system, they might have an advantage. But the reality is the reality. Any ordinary citizen who is moving back to Nigeria will have to face the same drumbeat that most of the Nigerian citizens are facing today. And as African Americans going back to Nigeria, that's the truth. You're not going to go to a country where the economy is doing well to the extent that you can just go there and establish and become successful. At the end of the day also, let's be real about it. Regardless of what Davido said, if any serious investor wants to invest in any country, whether in Nigeria or any African country, they definitely will have to do their own feasibility studies. And it's out of that feasibility studies that they will find out the state of affairs of that economy. Either the economy is doing well or is doing bad, and where to invest in that economy. All those things are going to show in that feasibility studies that the investor is going to do. So it is not what Davido is saying on that podcast that's going to dissuade investors from coming to Nigeria to invest. Because there's all this big hoopla that is going on across Nigeria by some of the news networks talking about what he said is going to deter direct foreign investment into Nigeria. I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. Let's be real here. Whatever Davido said is not going to deter a very serious investor coming to Nigeria. If Nigeria has deterred investors coming to Nigeria, look at what happened a couple of months ago. Look at what happened a couple of months ago with regards to NNPC and Dangote oil refinery, where the cartel, the cabals in government were trying to do everything possible to sabotage the Dangote oil refinery. And we're talking about a man, the richest man in the world, a black man in the world, investing over $20 billion of his own money, building a refinery that is supposed to help with the Nigeria electrical and petroleum problems that the Nigeria have been facing for some years now. I mean, this is a man who has invested over $20 billion into Nigeria's economy. Even if he has to go through this crony capitalism and this sabotage coming from NNPC and other government officials, who is a better testament to how Nigeria government have dissuaded direct foreign investors from investors than what NNPC and other politicians have done to Dangote. Because if you look at the whole situation with regards to what Dangote has to go through, there is no argument to be made that Davido, whatever he said, will have any impact. Because Nigerian government itself, I mean, NNPC and other cabals and the oil cartel and OICs and so on and so forth, all in Nigeria, they have already made a point for foreign investors to be worried when they are coming to Nigeria to invest. Because they made a point clearly that the richest black man on earth today, being a Nigerian who have invested over $20 billion of his own money in the country, will have to go through these problems that is supposed to help benefit the country, to uplift the country's economy. If he has to go through that, and then he has to face all this sabotage coming from these oil cartels and cabals in Nigeria, then what else? What else is Davido going to say that is going to dissuade foreign investors from coming to Nigeria? I mean, let's also not forget that Davido's own father in his own words, about a couple of months ago, or early this year or something like that, made a comment talking about how hard it was for him to even convince his partners to invest $2 billion in the electrical grid of Nigeria. And when the politician made it clear to him that he wasn't going to see a daylight in that investment. And out of that also, almost led to him losing that investment opportunity with his Chinese counterparts. I mean, this came out from Davido's father, who has invested $2 billion in electrical power generating grid in Nigeria. And this is what he had to go through. So based on all these things that is going on, that tells you exactly the problem that Nigeria faces. The problem Nigeria faces is bigger than what Davido said. What Davido said is peanuts. It's nothing. And Davido haven't said anything. He was just stating, making a point on the state of affairs of the economy that most Nigerians are going through right now. That is nothing. I mean, if you talk really upset about what Davido said with regards to foreign investors coming to Nigeria, then you have to be upset with the government, the state of affairs and the economic policies that past government and the governments of various states have implemented that have hindered economic growth and put Nigeria in this situation today. So all those of you who are angry about Davido's comment, please channel your anger towards the government, towards the level of corruption, insecurity, lack of infrastructure, the electrical grid, which is in shambles. Channel your anger towards all those things that is hampering the economic growth of Nigeria, especially to your politicians, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are corrupt. They are the ones who are stealing Nigeria's natural resources and wealth. They are the ones who have introduced this crony capitalism, where they channel contracts to their crony capitalist friends and family businesses and so on and so forth. That has made life very horrible and difficult for fellow Nigerians. So I'm kind of astounded by some of these criticism coming from some of people in the news media and TV shows and so on, talk about what Davido said, and that is going to dissuade foreign investors and so on and so forth. Fellows, I remember very well when Dangote was going through his NNPC issues, and when he said that one of the advices that he had was from his own friend Mike Adenuga. When Mike Adenuga told him not to put all his money in one basket in that investment. And Dangote himself made it clear when he was going through those problems, said that if he had invested in Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, and all these big tech American companies, he would have made at least about $60 to $80 billion. But he chose to invest in Nigeria because he believed in Nigeria, because he believed that he can help uplift Nigeria's economy. That is why he invested $20 billion to build that refinery. And for a man to devote all his life and his energy and money into trying to help uplift the country, to go through what he went through with NNPC and continue to go through with the government agencies, then you're going to have the nerve to somehow criticize Davido for stating the facts, the state of affairs of the economic situation in Nigeria. I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. Let's be real here. Let's be real. Let's look at the state of affairs of Nigeria and be realistic about it. Whatever Davido said has nothing to do with anything but stating the fact of the economic situation that most Nigerians are going through. But if you really want to encourage direct foreign investment, then look at the government policies. Look at your infrastructure. Look at the security situation that is going on across the country. Those are the key areas that foreign investors look at before they invest in the country. It's not what Davido said. Any serious foreign investor is not going to come to stop coming to Nigeria or invest in Nigeria because of Davido's comments. I mean, that is bull. But the real aspect that will really encourage foreign investors to come and invest in Nigeria or any other African country will have more to do with the level of corruption, the level of insecurity, the power grid situation going on, as well as the economic situation in Nigeria, as well as Africa as a whole. That is what investors look at. That is the key areas that investors look at. So for those of you guys who are angry about the comment that Davido said, and that is going to deter, African Americans and Africans in the diaspora to come back home and invest, and so I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. Charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. We have to do our homework, lay the foundation that will attract foreign investors. But for you to start attracting foreign investors, you have to start it at home. Nigerians at home and other Africans in other African countries have to lay the foundation, the groundwork at home that will encourage and attract foreign investors to come back to Nigeria and other African countries to come and invest. But if we are home on the continent don't lay that foundation, then don't expect foreigners to pour in their money and come and invest on the continent. I'm sorry. We have to start this at home. Charity begins at home. So for you guys to understand what is going on, you have to also know that whatever Davido said is not the reason why foreign investors are not going to come to Nigeria or Africa. I'm sorry. That's not why they won't come there. They are not coming there because of the level of corruption, because of the crony capitalism, the socialist and communist economic policies that basically they implement, more like a monopolistic system to favor their crony capitalist family businesses. These are the key reasons why foreign investors stay away from Africa. I mean, fellows, look at it this way, fellows. Africa has the cheapest labor in the world. I mean, the cheapest labor We have all the raw materials that are needed to produce basically everything in this world. And we also have the cheapest labor on this world. And yet still, we cannot even attract foreign investors onto the continent. Why do you think it's so? It's so because of corruption, poor infrastructure, as well as insecurity. These are the main issues that we have to deal with. We have to address these corruption level of corruption, infrastructure, as well as security. We have to address these issues first. If we're able to address these issues, then we'll have no problem with having direct foreign investments coming to Africa. And that's our problem. That is our problem. But because of corruption, one of the key areas that has led Africa into where we are today, it is called bad governance. Bad governance by African governments. And it is unfortunate that that's the saddest truth. It is very, very unfortunate. So, I mean, look, let's be real about what is going on the continent. And let's understand that whatever Davido said, it's not a reason why it's going to deter foreign investors from coming to Nigeria or any other African country. We have to lay the foundation. We have to lay the proper foundation for us to attract foreign investment. I mean, look at our various African countries, fellas. I mean, lack of rule of law. I mean, look at it. I mean, when you have people coming to invest billions of dollars into a country like Nigeria or any other African country, they have to believe in the system. They have to believe in rule of law. They have to believe that their investments will go well in their country that they are coming to invest in. And whenever something goes on, they can rely on the court system, the legal system, for them to be able to thrive in that system. But look at your own various African countries. Look at the rule of law down there. Look at the rule of law down there. There's no rule of law. I mean, I bet almost every African country lacks rule of law. Almost every African country lacks rule of law. And out of these things, people with money in Europe and America are not coming down there. I mean, these are the issues we have to look at. And stop blaming an entertainer, Davido. I mean, I'm sorry, fellas. Let's be serious about it. I mean, you hear politicians come on TV in Nigeria talking about Davido. Are you kidding me? Davido is an entertainer, fellas. Let's get over it. Look at the core issues that have contributed to lack of direct foreign investment into our various African countries. Those are the issues. Let's not use Davido as an excuse. All these politicians in Nigeria raising hell about Davido, they should check themselves. They should look at themselves. They should look at themselves. The corrupt system that they have adapted is the main reason why Nigeria is where it is today. I mean, after all, Davido's uncle is a governor, so he wasn't just talking about a few Nigerian politicians. He even included his uncle, because his uncle is the governor. So if he's talking how bad the economic system in Nigeria is right now, then he's also talking about his own uncle as well. I mean, look at it, fellas. Who is the richest man on this planet right now? The richest man on this planet right now is an African by the name of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the richest man on this planet. Now, Elon Musk was born in South Africa, grew up in South Africa until when he turned 18, 19, when he came to Canada, and then later moved to America and attended University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business. Now, and he happens to be the richest person on the planet today. Can anybody pinpoint any investment that Elon Musk have made in his native country, South Africa? None. 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 And this is the richest man on the planet. And he has not invested a dime in South Africa. And this is where he was born. Now go figure. Why hasn't a man who is the richest man on this planet, all that money and investment that he has made in America and Europe and across Asia, he hasn't done so on the African continent as well as his own country, South Africa? Go figure, fellas. That tells you exactly where your problem is. Because this man would have invested heavily in South Africa, his native country, if he believed in the South African economic system. But because he doesn't believe in it, that is why he has not invested in South Africa. I mean, look at South Africa's economy. Look at it. It's in shambles as well. Look at it. I mean, this was a country about 30, 40, 50 years ago, was more or less considered a developed country. Today, look at it. Look at how bad it is. These communist-minded policies, socialist communist-minded policies that have been adopted for the past 30 years. How in the world do you think you are going to attract foreign investment into your country? Let alone your own native son. Your own native son, who happens to be the richest person on this planet, isn't even investing in your country. Isn't even investing in your country. So, fellas, I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real here and stop talking about what Davido said that Davido didn't say and so on and so forth. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, I cannot even believe that you have politicians or some news media outlets in Nigeria taking Davido's comment so seriously, as if like the reason why Nigeria is in this situation is because of Davido. I mean, give me a break, fellas. Give me a break. Davido was telling the truth. And the truth of the matter is that the economy is in shambles. You have poor governance, corrupt politicians, crony capitalism, bad economic policies, socialist, communist-minded policies in the interest of protecting their family and crony capitalist business friends' businesses. I mean, going against their own fellow richest black man on this planet, Aliko Dangote, who has to go through hell when this man was trying to help Nigeria. I mean, go figure. I mean, this is what this man has to go through. And then you're going to look at Davido and look at what they did to Dangote, what he has to go through. So if you're a businessman in Europe, America, Asia, with a lot of money who wants to invest in Nigeria, and you're looking at Dangote, the richest black man of Africa as well as in Nigeria, who is going through this hell, through these policies by these government agencies, how in the world will you feel of even investing in Nigeria if you have to go through the same thing that Dangote has to go through? Nobody is going to come down there, fellows. So don't blame Davido. All your anger that you have, talking about let's cancel Davido and all that stuff, that's all BS. Focus that energy on your politicians, your corrupt politicians, and your economic policies, that backward economic policies that are being implemented just to protect their crony capitalists and family businesses. That is what you people have to channel your anger on, not on Davido. But Davido was just telling the truth, the state of affairs of where Nigeria is today. So, fellas, if it's Sunday, it's the Africa Weekly Talk. God bless you guys and have a great week. Thank you guys and peace and love.